what's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's Saturday morning, and this is Multifamily Unplugged. You're in for another great episode this morning, no doubt about that. So buckle up, get ready for this ride. I'm super excited about my guest this morning. Hey, before we get into that, though, here's what I want to mention. I said to my guest this morning before we went live, I said, give me a word to talk about. Give me a word to talk about to my listeners before I bring you in and we start this podcast this morning. And she said, determination or grit. I love the word determination. It's that mental mindset attitude that we have to have, right? The ability for us to be committed to the process. This business of multifamily investing and syndication and raising capital and everything that goes into that, it is so easy to get discouraged. And I don't think people talk about mindset and the mindset piece behind it enough in the daily adventure that we have. And it's truly a daily adventure, but you have to be determined. You've got to have those goals set for yourself and then take that critical action every day, those steps that are going to move you closer and closer to your goals. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, about determination and grit when I bring my guest in. My guest this morning, Christina Suter. Christina Suter has a company called Christina Suter Consulting. We're going to talk about her consulting business and the joint venture deals that she does with her clients. If you're new to the show this morning, thank the person that invited you for sure. Grab your coffee, sit back, buckle up, because we are in for one heck of a ride this morning. I'm super excited about what we're going to talk about and the things that we're going to cover. But please like us, love us, subscribe to our channel, go over, join our Facebook group, and be part of our community as we continue to grow and bring you great guests and great content. Let me bring my guest in this morning.
Woo,
hey,
woo, woo,
good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Last time I saw you, we were in Tulsa together, hanging out in an apartment building.
Yeah, I think I saw you on your podcast a couple weeks ago.
That's true. That's true. Last time I saw you in person, we were in Tulsa together, hanging out in an apartment building. And the last time I saw you was when I was interviewing on my podcast, Real Estate Breakthrough.
Right. Absolutely. Hey, one thing that's really neat here is you and I met, it's a little over a year now ago.
Yeah, I think so.
We met through a mutual friend, Bronson Hill.
Yep.
And we just kind of had this connection between us that, hey, we need to keep talking and we need to keep seeing where we might, where our paths may cross, and, our paths continue to cross. We wind up seeing each other at events that neither one of us even know the other one's going to. And it's always great. So I always appreciate your insight and what you have to offer people. So I'm looking forward to our conversation this morning and what we'll be able to, provide for our listeners. So before we get started, I always ask one question, and just, this question, I'm in the process of writing a book right now, and the book's going to be called The One Word. But I always ask my guests, in one word, what best describes you personally and professionally?
Love. Love. It's very simple to me. You see, as far as I'm concerned, and this just goes straight into my personal philosophy on the world as a whole, the actual existence of the world is based in love. When you're not being angry, when you're not being upset, when you're not running some stick out of your mind of frustration, you're pretty much in a relatively neutral, calm, welcoming, and engaging state. And that state, I believe, I call love. And I believe that is the existence of the universe. That it's really just an act of love.
Okay. So 300 podcasts, you're the first person to ever say that word. And I've asked that question 300 times.
There you go.
And, I have to tell you, you gave me chills this morning saying that. I really try to live my life by that word, right? I'm a Christian, and, beyond that, people say, well, the Bible is such a rule book. And I say, no, it's not a rule book. It's a love story,
It's a love story.
because if we can treat people the way, Jesus treated people, oh my God, would the world be a better place? Right?
It's really simple, right? It's really simple. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm
No,
trying to
go
interrupt
ahead.
you,
Go
but
ahead.
I am excited by that. Like, that's right. Like, if you get the basic message of what Jesus had to offer, right? It is love. Sunday doesn't mean you don't love somebody. Saturday is a non-work day, but it doesn't mean you don't help somebody. I mean, Jesus's actions are constantly full of love, be willing to accept, be true about what reality is. Give to man what is man, give to God what is God. And God is love. And being able to stand in the slipstream of God, of Jesus, whatever your word is for it. I am not going to be silly enough to think there's only one word for it.
Right.
Just so you know,
Right.
right? It is so core to our existence, right? That if you can stay in that slipstream of love and connection to reality, not avoiding reality, not turning away from it, but staying present to what it is in front of you, there is always love there, always. And there always can be love in you.
Right.
Always.
And if you live by that, when you are offended or by someone else, whether it be a business partner, an investor, a seller, a buyer, if you live by that word, it lessens that offense. You're not as affected. It doesn't run your day, or and before I learned to live like that, though, I was out of pocket for a long time because, oh, that person offended me, or what? People are where they're at because that's where they're at, and if I just know how, if I just walk my life and I'm able to just love everybody for who they are and what they bring to the table, life's such a better place.
If I may riff on that a little further.
Yeah, please.
As one of my old mentors used to say, let's not go cray here. Right. So, because love doesn't mean that you don't have clarity, right? I mean, Jesus tore apart the marketplace because they were worshiping an idol gods, right? There's a clarity. If you're truly standing in love and you're going, hey, dude, I hear you. And I hear that you got stuff behind what you're saying, and that's important to you, but not necessarily important to me. And I don't need to be in a state of injury towards you, but I also don't need to be in a state of injury towards me. Like, we can stay right here. We can have this whole conversation right here, right? And I don't need to be in injury, and you can come out of your injury if possible. There's a process called VI, Resources for Infant Educators, that I raised my daughter in. And one of the things they talk about is there's a story that the board would talk about of this woman named Ruth Ann who would just hold a toy between two kids that both wanted it and just talk about, wow, it looks like you both want the toy. It looks like you both want to engage in this. You both look really engaged. Like, she would what's called sportscast the whole situation until conflict resolution could be created. And there's no need for harshness in conflict resolution to be created. It's a standing in the possibility of love. Right. I'm going to stand right here, babe. I hear you. I hear that you're upset. I get it. And here's what I'm looking for. Let's be in conflict resolution together. Let's have a conversation together. And I'm still standing in love. I'm still standing in clarity. I'm still standing in acceptance of the reality that God has created right in front of me. I'm not in argument with that. I don't want to be in argument with that, because then I'm in argument with love. And
listen, I had no idea when we get on. Never do I have an idea when I get on these podcasts where it's going to go, but I like the direction we went in here. Right. And I just a couple more comments on this. You can come to the negotiation tables in love. You don't have to come to the negotiation tables in a tough stance, right? You can come in and just love the other party, especially when you're negotiating price or due diligence stuff. right? Just think about all the things that, I look at my business sometimes and I say, I play so much defense. Where do I get a chance to play offense? But if I can play that defense in love and really care about the other person, because we don't know what's going on in that other person's life, right? Or where they're at. So if we can treat them in a way that they walk away from those negotiations, or they walk away from that conflict, and they go, holy cow, that could have went a totally different way. And it's all because, you expressed some sort of love. And love doesn't always mean, being in a romantic relationship. It's loving your brother for who they are. Although I will say that in scripture, there are some really key things about how to do that, right? If we go to Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 13, it talks about how to love. If we go to Ephesians and we talk in Ephesians about how a husband should treat his wife, I think those things are so critical in life, right? So anyhow, we're way off on a tangent.
It doesn't matter. The fact, but the point is, and the reason why we bring this up on a real estate show, Multifamily Unplugged, is because when you're buying and engaging in multifamily activities, are you going to go berserk? Are you going to feel at risk? Are you going to feel scared when you're engaging? Or are you going to say, no, actually, I can do all of this from a space of love and win-win. We're like, whether you think we're in this together or not, I think we're in this together. Yeah. And I'm going to, right. And the capacity to hold for that. And in my mind, and I think you, Mike, might be very similar, maybe that's why we riffed so quickly. When Bronson introduced you to me, I watched you and I listened to you and I immediately went, aha, he understands something profound that he has grown into intentionally and consciously to be a better human being on the planet. And that gets my immediate respect. Period. Period. Like you could be in real estate, you could be in childcare, you could be selling widgets. I wouldn't care. Right? The fact that you consciously processed yourself, moved your mindset from concern, fear, hatred, greed, whatever it was, it doesn't matter, egotism, to no, I'm standing in something greater for myself and for others so that I'm a better human being on the planet when I talk to people. Oh, and by the way, I happen to talk about real estate. That's really cool because I do too, right? I do too. So that's really great. We can keep playing together, right? That immediately gets my respect and my attention. Those are the people I love being engaged with because we're all playing the game, right? We're playing the game with similar rules and similar engagement and similar understanding, similar commitment, and hopefully making other people's lives better while we do it. So that was what showed up. So the reason why we're talking about this is because when you're engaged in multifamily deals, when you're trying to create a new deal, when you're buying, I'm trying, like there's 2 little apartment buildings I'm buying right now, right? And I'm trying to buy this building. I want to negotiate even through my real estate agent. I would love for my message to still be love on the other side, even though I'm not delivering it. My 100%. Real estate agent is delivering it.
Hey, I just have to say this. I'm going to have to come to your event in Pasadena next time because I need a hug.
Always hugs. I'm famous for my hugs. I'm famous for my white shirts and I'm famous for my hugs.
Hey, let's do this. Why don't you real quick tell people who you are, what you do, and let's get into that a little bit.
All right, fine. My name's Christina Suter, and I've been investing for 35 years. I stopped counting at 35, just to let you know. So I've been investing for 35 years, and I started in single family, then moved into multifamily. I now own some multifamily. I own some single family in Indianapolis and Tulsa. I'm an active investor. I do hard money loans and invest as limited partners inside of other deals, things like land, things like I'm trying to think of industrial properties, mobile home parks, and I invest in stocks. So I have a diversified portfolio that's intentionally crafted. I'm also a real estate investment advisor. What does that mean? That means I talk to other people about what it means to create a real estate that's based in fulfilling your life's purpose and passion. What does it mean to live a life of purpose and passion and use real estate as the vehicle to get there?
Boy, that is awesome. I love that. Here's what I want to ask though. You have a license as an RIA.
I do.
And which is, as you mentioned, a registered investment advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other registered investment advisors out there? And I want to just kind of talk about raising capital for a minute, right? Because a lot of people that listen to this show are capital raisers and are investors that are learning how to raise capital. But is there a way to go to RIAs and have RIAs look at your real estate offering and bring their investors into your offerings?
So yes, I have people who reach out to me kind of akin to a family office, although I'm not even near the size of a family office. But I often create, because I work with clients, creating a portfolio that's primarily based in real estate, often will be diversified into other more traditional assets like annuities, stocks, other notes and bonds, other note vehicles and bonds. But primarily it's in real estate and real estate backed assets. And I need a place to recommend them to people that I know, like, and trust, so that they can know, like, and trust them in order to create the ideal portfolio that we've come up with that's diversified across real estate and maybe other assets. So yes, I often will meet with syndicators, capital raisers, and people like that and say, hey, great, you can be on my list of people. Because sometimes I need a place to put a 1031 exchange. Sometimes I need somebody who's looking for a high tax shelter in order to fill that slot inside of their allotment schedule that I create with them inside of their portfolio, where they're looking for a niche. They're looking for a specific type of return. They're looking for diversification in an asset outside of the assets they already have, like a storage unit, instead of them owning a bunch of multifamilies. So we're seeking diversification, and LP investments allows them to create that diversification. So I have a list of providers and I have a list of clients, and they need to talk.
So if you were giving some advice to the real estate investor who's raising capital, how would you encourage them or coach them? Because you have a consulting business. How would you coach them to go out and approach RIAs?
Okay, so I don't currently coach those people, but I have lots of advice on that topic.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. The people that are the most successful for me are the people who are willing to have a track record. 1, 6 years or longer is my preference. 2, they understand that the purpose of the conversation is about investing and win-win, right? So that space. And I want the documents, right? The PPM and the LLC agreement to also represent a version of a win-win. And remember, I said before, I don't want you unprotected. I want you balanced in your protection. Right? I've seen some where I'm clearly like, wow, that is so in favor of the syndicator that you don't want to invest in that or not. You have no recourse, right? But at the same time, I don't want you to be able to vote out just because you're upset. I don't want the LP to be able to vote out the syndicator because like, no, you don't understand. They're the ones who are making the deal work. You don't want to vote them out just because you're feeling bad today or you're in a bad mood or the project starts to go awry. You don't want to just pull them out because now the whole thing will fall apart.
Right.
And I've seen that happen. Right. I've seen that happen in my advisement with my clients. And I've tracked things that are failing with my clients. And I've seen how the lawsuits get very complicated very quickly and the investors get very upset and they get very accusatory. And I'm like, guys, you are in fantasy land. There's no reason why what you're saying could even have happened. Right? So you got to have this balanced agreement. And the other is transparency. If I say, hey, have you ever had a deal go wrong? Have you ever capital raised for a deal that's gone wrong? Or you've ever run a deal that's gone wrong as a syndicator? I want you to tell me the truth. That's also the reason why my podcast is called Breakthrough Real Estate. Is why do we use real estate to break through to our financial freedom? I want you to tell me the truth. What didn't work? And how were you able to either turn it around or come up with a solution? What I'm looking for is your grit and determination, because that's what saves the deal. Words. Right? Those words that saves the deal is grit and determination on the syndicator's part. It's period. What saves any deal that's having a hard time of any kind is the grit and determination of the syndication team. Period. There's just nothing else for it. Right. And the other thing
I say these deals today are made and broken at the asset management level.
That's correct.
Right? If you're not asset managing at a high level today, in this environment that we're in, there's going to be challenges.
There's going to be challenges. And the other piece I'm looking for is the willingness to be transparent. So I'm looking for, are you willing to be transparent? Do you have the grit and determination to make a deal work? And was your solution as close to a win-win as you could create? So that question isn't empty. It's actually very rich. So again, we're back to when I met you and Bronson described your history and you described your reaction to it. And I went, hey, dude, you made a choice. It was based in integrity. Where you landed was in integrity. Yes. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, that's all. That's good. So, you brought up the city, Tulsa. I know that you are active in Tulsa. I'm active in Tulsa. You know what? Tell people why you like Tulsa. People have heard me enough talk about Tulsa, but why don't you tell people why you like Tulsa and what you think's happening there?
Okay, good point. Probably a lot of people why you like Tulsa. Okay, Tulsa has a few things for it. Now, I will give you the headline first, and then I'll give you other little details. First and foremost, I started investing, like I said, 35 years ago, but I started in LA. And now investing in LA doesn't make sense. I'm silly old school. Somehow I think investing in an apartment building is about cash flow. I don't understand. I understand that I am so old school on that point of view that it has me in Tulsa and not in LA. I don't even own in LA. My husband owns our house in LA. Just to tell you my love for investing in LA right now. Now, I do have many, many investors who invest in LA. I can tell you how to invest in LA. I can tell you how to be successful investing in LA. But at 56, I don't want to do that work in my portfolio, right? So I like to invest in Tulsa because of positive price rent ratio. The 1% rule works. You can buy units at $65,000, $80,000 a door, and they'll rent for $650 to $1,000 a door. My 1% rule works. That's what drove me to Tulsa first. Also, there is rental growth. 2021, there was 14%. In 2024, it was 5%, right? There's a diversity. There's minimum of 4 if I'm going to invest out of state. Military, aerospace, healthcare, and manufacturing are diverse industries in Tulsa. Their crime rate is actually pretty moderate. Now, not in all parts of Tulsa, but their crime rate matches a lot of the middle-class neighborhoods in California. There is that in Tulsa as well. There are certain parts to avoid, just like you want to avoid Compton, you want to avoid Bell in Los Angeles, you want to avoid certain cities in Tulsa. They have good unemployment, 5.49% last year. Mixed population, 50% white, 50% other mixed races, and slow, steady growth. The population growth is not that attractive, truth be told, but every year it's positive. It's been growing year upon year. So it's not huge, but it is heading in the right direction. And now Tulsa just in the end of last year, they probably have this. You probably have said this. Tulsa at the end of last year declared, was it $24 million that they're going to invest in their development projects in Tulsa? And that's their second round. The previous round was in 2019, where Tulsa as a city declared that they were going to have investments in their downtown and in other development projects available for developers and real estate people like us, right? So I have 2 rounds of the city itself declaring their investment in building the structure of Tulsa itself, which always leads to greater growth in the city within 10 to 20 years.
Yep, 100%. And, a couple things about that population growth. When we started investing in Tulsa, I watched it. It was only like 0.5% to 0.75% growth year after year for about 5 years consecutively. And I said, it's not a lot, but it's trending, right? It's trending. And you don't need a hockey stick, right? To see.
Right. And it is doing this. If you look at the chart, it's literally doing this.
Right. Yeah. But in 2024, it jumped 10%. 10%. So it went from 950,000 people living there to 1,000,001. That's 10% jump. That's incredible, right? And then, the other thing, the airport, the government deployed $31 billion to the airport to create an international airport, not just domestic, So there's a lot of changes that are in, I always like to say, get invested in real estate when the wind is going to be at your back. You'll always look like a hero. And that's kind of what's happening in Tulsa, right?
Yeah, and it's great because it's a sleepy city that's been overlooked in my mind. It's not on everybody's top 10 list 10 years ago, right? Like I'm in Indianapolis as well, and Indianapolis is now on lots of top 10 lists. Well, when I first started investing 7 to 8 years ago, it was on some of them, but not very many. Like it was just kind of getting people's attention. Now everybody's like, oh, Indianapolis, Indianapolis. I'm like, well, that's great. I've been there for almost 8 years. And now I'm starting to get priced out on my 1% role in Indianapolis. And I can't find an apartment building in Indianapolis that I'm in love with like I can in Tulsa. Right? I'm like, yay, Tulsa. I'm like, sleepy city. Right? I don't need, maybe this is silly of me, or maybe it's just being older. I need a city that's going to perform for the next 20 to 30 years. I'm not looking for the ride that LA can offer me. I'm looking for something slow, steady, solid. I'm 56, add 30 to that. That makes me 86, right? I'm going to probably stop investing about 86. I don't know, maybe it'll be 83. But the point is, I plan to invest for a long time. And then eventually my daughter, who is 15 today, will get my portfolio. She'll get the step-up basis in my portfolio, hopefully, tax code still being there. She'll get the step-up basis in my portfolio, and then she can sell everything if she wants to. I don't care, because I did my job in my lifetime, which is I took the assets I had and I multiplied them for her, the next generation.
And talk about that, because that's generational wealth, right? And in the multifamily investing space, that's one of the buckets that we try to fill for our investors, is that generational wealth. Talk about that for a minute.
Generational wealth. It's okay. So when I was young and invested in real estate, younger, I had apartment buildings. I flipped. I did a condo conversion. I did a lot split. I got very engaged in active investing. Job and money, and I'd buy something and then I'd sell it. My very first apartment building I ever bought was on a street called Magnolia in LA. I wish I still owned it. Okay. The point is I look back, I very rarely have regrets. I don't believe in regrets as a way of living in one's life, right? It's just, to me, it's a mindset that isn't going to add value to myself or anyone else. It's done. It's over. Let's be at peace with what it is, right? But when I look back and I look at that Magnolia building, and every once in a while you revisit it, and you go, what's it worth today? I'm like, maybe the rents might be difficult to manage, but the building itself is still worth more. And I noticed through looking back at my own investment history, not just the charts, but my own investment history, that I would have continued to do well even if I held on to some of my original assets. And that's when I go, I didn't have to work so hard. Or I've talked to flippers who are like, Christina, I flip, but I'm required to flip because it's the only form of cash flow I have is flipping. So I have to keep flipping regardless of market cycles. And they're like, Christina, how do I get off the wagon wheel? How do I get out of that rat race? Because flipping can be a rat race if that's all you've got. And I go, well, it's called slow but steady long-term investing, which creates solid wealth for you, solid paychecks for you over and over again during your lifetime. And by the way, you get to leave it to your kids.
100%.
You get to leave something that is solid, that is a cultivated, intentional portfolio that is fulfilling its purpose during your lifetime. In my job, I call it every dollar has a job, right? Every dollar has a job. Every dollar is fulfilling its job during your lifetime, and it leaves a very clear portfolio for your children, right? They're going to inherit something that is going to be stabilized and self-performing. If they choose to sell it all, that's fine. If they choose to keep it, it's stabilized and self-performing.
Right. Hey, something very interesting in the news this morning, and I'm not a big news guy, so I kind of get my snippets from CRE Daily and Globe Street, and my important real estate stuff I get. Warren Buffett said, stop waiting. Stop waiting for everything to be perfect, for interest rates to be low, for supply to be up, for loans to be easier to get. He goes, none of that will happen all at the same time ever again. He said, stop waiting. Go buy a house that you can afford today, create a rental situation, and get involved in real estate. and it was very impactful, especially coming from somebody like Warren Buffett, right? It's almost like, remember the old commercials when we were growing up, not to date us, but E.F. Hutton,
Oh, yeah.
E.F. Hutton.
Yes, exactly. That's literally what they did in the commercial. When E.F. Hutton talks.
Right. And it's kind of like how I feel about Warren Buffett. When he says stuff, you want to pay attention. Him, Ray Dalio, they really, they know they've got their pulse on the market. So listen, quit waiting, get off the sidelines. The market's going to improve. Just be in front of that improvement and you're going to do really well. I've been telling people for a year, let's catch this bull run, because if we're not at the bottom, we're going to be very shortly.
We're going to be very short.
And you're going to miss it. This is the time in history. I think we're in a place right now in our economic environment where people always go, man, I wish I would have caught that wave when it happened. Hey, wake up, everybody. This is a time for you to catch this wave. Come on. So,
I've got a lady right now who's a client, and we were looking at a building that she's going to 1031 out of. And she's like, oh man, this building is sucky. I get less than 1% cash on cash on it. Or another client, actually I have a couple that has the same situation. This building's sucky. I get less than 1% cash on cash on it. I'm like, great. Let's look at the appreciation that's created on that building. Right. They've owned it for 10 years. They've owned it for 20 years. They've owned it over like almost generational wealth. Right. They've owned it for a very long period of time. But then when we look at the actual total return, not total, and when I do total return, I do cash on cash and I do appreciation. There is equity pay down, of course. There is, tax shelters, of course. But when I'm talking about just these two forms of return, simple to calculate. They're 8%, 10%, 12% return. I've got this one girl who owned this property. She had 230% return annualized on this little piece of property she owned for 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. Like crazy. It's like the appreciation in it. So the vehicle itself is going to work. Real estate as a vehicle works when you approach it with the approach of what that particular box needs. There's two ways to approach real estate. Either you have a skill set and what you like to do, and you find the market that fits the skill set you want to do. I love that approach. It's totally great. I want to have cash flow. I want 1% markets. I'm investing in Indianapolis and now in Tulsa. Okay. Or you understand that each asset class has a valuable play to it, but what's its play? Right? Whether that play is a flip, whether that play is a rental, whether that play is a tax shelter, every asset class has a valuable play to it. What's its play? When I do my consulting work, my job is to combine the two. This is the right asset class for what your schedule of assets needs in order to hit your goals and your purpose and your passion, right? So you can approach it either way. So real estate works in that every asset has a way to play it that works. So yeah, there you go. That's my point. I don't have anything more to add to that. Sorry.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Tell me who is your perfect client in your consulting business. Who needs to call Christina today to say, hey, I want to talk to you about consulting?
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that question. Generally it's two types of people. One person has been in real estate for a while, or they inherit a real estate portfolio. I had these two sisters inherit their dad's real estate portfolio. There was 20 buildings around downtown LA, and they wanted nothing to do with it, right? But they inherited a portfolio, right? And I'm like, you have no idea. Let's talk, sweethearts. So they either have a portfolio, and for whatever reason, it needs to be transitioned. They don't like it. It's chaotic. We all have owned chaotic portfolios, have we not? It's failing in some way. Assets are stuck, right? We've all been there. Like, we understand. We understand. It's okay. It's solvable. It just sucks. It hurts right now. So they help them transition it. We create a new North Star, a new goal, and a new allotment schedule for their portfolio, strategic plan specifically. And we transition the portfolio consciously and intentionally to its job. What is its job? Its job is to fulfill your passion and your purpose. Your job is to understand your passion and purpose. Let's talk about that. The other is people who are brand new to real estate and they've just sold a company, or they're trying to get out of stocks, or they're looking for diversification, or they've just inherited money. And it's like, I don't want to put it all in stocks. I want to put it in real estate, but I don't really understand what I'm doing yet. I want to make sure I've got a quarterback there to protect me, to help me understand, to gain the education I need to become a professional real estate investor.
Are you there?
I am here now.
Oh, okay. You're back.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
and I think you have a giveaway for people this morning.
I do. It's very easy. Go to ChristinaSuter.com and one of those little pop-up windows will show up. Very typical, right? The pop-up window will show up. And what you will get with today is you will get my city due diligence checklist. So having invested in 7 different cities, now 8 with Tulsa, I think it's 8 or 9. I'm trying to remember the last time I counted how many cities, but 7 different cities, at least 8 now with Tulsa being the newest city. Being able to do due diligence on a city level, not just a property level, is really core in knowing why you're choosing the city you're choosing to invest in. I've had clients who have invested in several different states. I should probably count how many states I've done due diligence on, not just how many states I've personally invested in, right? So that's the city level due diligence checklist. That's available for the download for today, but we're going to replace it with 25 simple questions and answers in real estate. We're going to replace that in the next month or so. So go to ChristinaSuter.com, give me your email so I can send you emails and newsletters. I'm happy to share my information with you. I love doing economic stuff. I've got my 2 meetings a month, the ITI and Phoebe Pasadena Multifamily. I've got other podcasts I'm on or podcasts I have. So, if you want to know more about investing in real estate from a positive mindset, from a place of love, from a place of win-win, from a place of caring for your community, from a place of fulfilling your personal integrity as an investor and what it means to stand in that first, that's kind of my message on across almost every platform. What does that mean about how to live life? Oh, and by the way, let's invest in real estate.
Right. And let's invest in real estate. You and I are going to wind up doing something together here somewhere down the road for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Yeah.
Hey, and listen, I just have to say, we started this and we went in a direction that I had no idea we were going to go in. I don't think you had an idea we were going to go in that direction this morning. But boy, God works in funny ways, right? God, the universe, Jesus, whoever it is, right? Yep. I think you're right. It's not just one word, right? And it's not just one place or space. And I don't want to be so specific on people or for people, but man, that word love, that is specific. And that is one purpose. And that is, if we can all remember to live our life that way and treat each other with love, and, the world would be such a better place, right?
You're going to make me cry, Mike. You're speaking my language. And I think people need to understand that about you as well, Mike. I'm really glad we were able to riff on that, because I'm really going to encourage people to look at people like you who have truly consciously made a choice of the integrity of being you want to be. And if you're going to do due diligence on an LP, right, on a syndication deal, that's what you're looking for in your asset manager. You're looking for that level of the integrity and a sincere proof of it. Not like, oh yeah, I'm an integrous guy, right? Like, no. Proof's in the pudding. Let me tell you a story about how I got there. Let me tell you how I understood that. Let me tell you about a failed deal that got me there. Right. That is an integrity you want to put your $100,000 behind. $100,000, that's a nice car. I'm just saying, right? If you're going to put that kind of money with somebody, you want to make sure that the valet is going to park it over where it's safe, right?
That's right. For sure. Hey, tell people how they get a hold of you, Christina.
Thank you, Mike. Christina Suter, Christina, Christina, Suter, Suter. I always like to say my husband was a very good suitor, although it's not spelled that way. So it's SUTER.com. Really easy. Both my consulting work is there. If you want to do joint ventures with me, then the way that I do that is I'm maybe silly or smart, depending upon how you look at it. I invest with people. I do joint ventures with people I know, like, and trust. So it's my clients, it's my students, it's people I've been engaged with for years. Those are the people who become my joint venture partners. So if you want to work with me as a consultant or work with me as a joint venture partner, let's do that eyeball to eyeball. Let's have a conversation and get to know each other in a way that is personal. And we know that the know, like, and trust goes both directions, because that's the best way to have harmony and love inside of a joint venture investment.
100%. And last thing before we start to close out, you have a great meetup in Pasadena that
I
if
do.
people are in LA, they're in the area, when is your meetup and what's the name of it?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Phoebe, F-I-B-I, Pasadena.com. And the reason why I originally branded to Phoebe over 11 years ago, started in 2011, was because it's a no sales platform. And so that's what I love. It's for education. It's for networking. It's for bringing the community the best knowledge and the best presenters I can get access to. So that's on the third Thursday night, and you can find us on Meetup. The other Meetup I ran and co-founded was ITI. So it's investor to investor education. I run that with Steve Massery, and we actually run our classes through that as well, because that is a for-profit. But again, our focus in the Meetup itself is about networking and education and development of community. How do we empower each other to all move forward? Do you know we all get richer if we all work together? I'm just mentioning this little piece, just saying if you want true abundance, working together is how you get there, just saying. And the communities that I create are based on that point of view. And so, and we also teach the classes, our personal growth, our leadership classes, as well as our real estate classes are through itieducation.org.
Awesome. Hey, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. I'm going to move you out. If you hang out in the back room with me for a minute, that'd be great.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, everybody. You know what? This morning's show definitely did not go in a direction that we thought it was going to go in. You know, it's kind of funny, right? We set intentions and sometimes we don't go in that direction, but it went in a really good direction this morning. So, hey, I'm going to tell you to rewind this and listen to this again a couple of times, because there was a lot of gold inside of this morning's podcast. If you're a passive investor and you're struggling trying to come off the sidelines, not sure if you should be jumping in right now and investing in a syndication, but you know that there's wealth to be made in real estate, and you know that there's going to be growth in real estate, and you feel that we're going to hit that market cycle right now and start to come out, you know what? Go take the risk tolerance test. So what you want to do is you want to go text the word investor to 224-269-6700. Text the word investor. Take the 10-second quiz. In 30 seconds, you're going to get an answer back that says what type of an investor you are and maybe where you should invest in. If I can answer any questions for you, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to have a personal conversation with you. Remember, we're here every Saturday morning, Multifamily Unplugged. Join our private community, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week, everybody.